I will start now. All right. For today's topic is about beginner guide to configure EdgeRouter and EdgeSwitch. Okay. So first, we will go through about EdgeRouter first, and then we go to EdgeSwitch. Okay, EdgeRouter. EdgeRouter model. All EdgeRouter model is use same system operating system, which is EdgeOS, but different in available hardware feature set. Some of the router come with PoE output, and also the difference can be in interface. Some model have SFP interface and SFP plus interface. Some is just RJ47. Okay. Here is a router matrix. Few models. Start from the smallest one is ERX. Come with 5 Ethernet port, and this model don't have any SFP port. The second one is ERX SFP, which is have 5 Ethernet port and 1 SFP port. Okay. This one have for this model SFP have PoE output 5 port. They can support 5 until 26 volt. Okay. And we also have ER Lite 3. This one is basic router. This only have 3 Ethernet port. Okay. For this one, the highest and we go to ERXXG. This model only have 1 Ethernet port and 8 SFP plus port. So this one can support 10 gig or 1 gig fiber. Okay. And then we also have H point. Okay, H point 6 and 8. This one normally we use for the outdoor. Okay. But carefully, for ER6, they only can support PoE out until 24 volt. So if you want to power up devices using more than 24 volt, for example, UBNT AP, they're using 48 volt, so this model cannot power up the AP. Okay. If you're using EPR8, they can support until up to 54 volt. Okay. Here's some features on the EdgeRouter. As normal router, they can support VLAN interface and then static route and also dynamic for SPF, RIP, BGP, MPLS, and they also have firewall policy. The fourth one is application information with DPI. This one is also new features on EdgeRouter. Okay, next DHCP services, and then they also have network administration monitoring tool UNMS from Ubiquiti. All right. So this step, how to establish initial connection with your EdgeRouter. Okay, first thing you need to do is connect Ethernet cable from the computer to ETH0. Okay, for the default, only ETH0 have a static IP to access the EdgeRouter. Second thing you need to do is configure static IP address on your computer in same segment as the default IP. So for example, you can set your IP 192.168.1.11 or anything. Right. Next, you open the browser and type HTTPS .1. So the .1 is default IP. And then you can log in using default credential UBNT. Username is UBNT and password is UBNT. Okay, this one is how's the connection look like. Okay, So you connect your PC LAN to ETH0 and then access via default IP or 1.1. Okay. First thing you need to do after you log in to new unit, okay, we recommended you to upgrade the firmware lah. The first thing before you start the configuration, update the firmware. Okay, where you can get the firmware, you can go to UBNT website and then go to download. Okay, for example, we are using HMAC. EdgeRouter is under HMAC category, so you find the models and then you download. Okay, once you download, you can upload the file, navigate to the system settings on the bottom left using your web UI, and then you choose the upload file. After that, you choose file system for the HOS firmware release you wish to upload. Okay, and then after you complete this router will reboot one time. Okay. Okay. EdgeRouter have normal internet connection type. As usual, they can support DHCP, static IP, and also PPPoE. Okay, for the internet. This one is basic setup. You can go to wizard, and then for the internet port, it is 0. You can choose DHCP, static, or PPPoE. Okay, PPPoE if you using VLAN, so you tick a VLAN, so you insert the VLAN ID. Alright. Others on that, VLAN is normally just for ISP lah. But then if on the local you still need the VLAN, you also can configure the VLAN. Okay. And then LAN IP addresses set to 192.168.1.1 is by default. But then you still can change based on your requirement. And then the DHCP server. Okay, if you're using Wizard, so DHCP server, everything will be add by default. So you doesn't need to set the DHCP server. Okay, username is UBNT and password UBNT, but we recommend you to change your password after first the configuration. Right, this one is LAN port configuration. For example, this model have two LAN port. Okay, ETH0, ETH1, and ETH2. So this one we're using only at ETH1. But then if you want bridge both port, ETH1 and ETH2, you just click here and then we come out with bridge option. Okay. Then you apply, change, and after you apply one more time, the router will reboot. And then you unplug the reconnect and you connect to interface LAN. Before this, you connect to ETH0, right? So you change to ETH1 or ETH2. Okay, this example for VLAN configuration. So under the dashboard, you can add interface. Okay, now we try to add interface VLAN. Okay, what the information you require is interface description, MTU, and IP addresses. Okay, this one example. We do the one VLAN. The segment is 192.168.100.1, the gateway. Okay. Okay, this one is VLAN ID 100, for example. And then next, if you require DHCP server, so you can create the DHCP server. If just static, you don't need to set up this one. Okay, how to set up the DHCP server? You navigate your to server services type, and then first set the DHCP name, subnet. Okay, range start. This one is IP pool. Okay, you can maybe you want to start from 100.20 until 100.100 also can. And the router is gateway, the IP gateway, DNS, right? Then save. Okay, this one is the details, TCP server. Okay, they will let you know pool size available. Okay, how many IP still available on your network, and then you can set the list time. Right. Okay, next basic configuration when we set up the network. Mostly these features is compulsory lah. Okay, to do the port forwarding from this feature. Example, we want forward UNMS server from local to access from public. Right. UNMS server is 1.10 and then your public IP is 203.0.113.1. So you want to access UNMS server using this IP and specific port. Okay. For example, we want port forwarding port 80 to 8080 from outside. Okay. So first you go to firewall net, and then on the port forwarding tab, you choose a WAN interface. Okay. If your WAN interface is IT0, so you choose IT0, and then LAN interface, where is the server interface, right? And then original port. For example, this original port is 80, and then protocol. Protocol you can choose both or TCP only or UDP only. And then forward address. This address is for the server. For example, before this is 1.10, so it should be 1.10 here. And then what port you want to forward. For example, we're using 8080, so you just put the 8080. And then save. So after that, you can access the UNMS server from outside using port 8080. Okay. That's all on the EdgeRouter part. If you have any question, you can ask me. Okay. Before we continue to EdgeSwitch. All right. So if no question, I will continue to EdgeSwitch. Okay, EdgeSwitch. EdgeSwitch actually we have a few type of switch. We have a PoE switch, fiber switch, and non-PoE switch. Okay, all this category is fully manageable switch with layer 2. And then all switch come with minimum 2 SFP port. Right, and then for the PoE, that one can support auto sensing, IEEE 802.3, F80, and also 24 passive PoE. Okay, by default is auto sensing. So if you want power up devices using 24 passive, so you need to change the setting. All right, here's some metric for the EdgeSwitch PoE. We have ES 8150 watt. Okay, this come with gigabit port, 8 gigabit port and 2 SFP port. Okay, the PoE output standard can support 24 passive and PoE plus 802 F80. Okay, all models can support all these things. The difference is only on LAN port, SFP port. Okay. For the 48 port, they come with 2 SFP and 2 SFP plus. Okay. For the PoE, can support 500 watt until 750 watt. Okay. This for model non-PoE models. We have ES12F. This one is fiber switch. Fiber switch SFP plus SFP 12 SFP. For 16xg is SFP plus. Okay. Okay. Accessing the configuration interface. by default EdgeSwitch will try get the IP from the DHCP if you plug in into the router that provide DHCP. So they will get DHCP server. If not, you still can use default IP 192.168.1.2 if router .1.1 for the switch 1.2. Okay. This one is basic diagram how to access the switch. You can plug into either one port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 also can, and then you access using default IP on 1.2. Okay, you also can accessible by SSH or web GUI using port 443. By default HTTP by default is HTTP telnet is disabled. Okay, this one is how the EdgeSwitch dashboard look like. Okay, so here you can see the throttle throughput, active port, and port utilizations, and then port summaries here. Okay, this part to configure the VLAN. So you go to second tab for VLAN's configuration. Okay, if you require VLAN, so you just add new VLAN here. Okay, once you add, for example, VLAN 100 and 200, right? Okay. So untag is access port, tag is trunk. Okay. E is exclude. For example, here, if you can see here, default is still VLAN 1, default VLAN. And then, okay, all port trunk VLAN 100 except port 13. And then for VLAN 200, okay, only port 16 carry access for VLAN 200. So once you plug in into port 16, you will get IP VLAN 200. Okay. Okay, the rest port not include is exclude for VLAN 200. So the rest port only carry VLAN 1 and VLAN 100. Okay, so example, this one is router. Okay, we see here they have two VLAN, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. 10 is for LAN and 20 is for gas. Okay, from the switch, from the router, the trunk both VLAN 10 and 20. Okay, until on the first switch also trunk both VLAN, but at the second switch you can see here port 2 the set VLAN 10 is untagged, so this port for only VLAN 2, access port for VLAN 2. For the port number 6, access port is VLAN 10 and also trunk VLAN 20 for gas. Okay. And then under the setting tab, here you can set the management IP. Okay, if you want enable the SSH server, so you can enable. If you want disable this one, so you can also disable. Right. If you have a different management VLAN ID, so you can set here for the accessing switch. If you want to add onto the remote system log, so you can enable these features. Okay. And then under the tools, you can see the MAC address table that connected to the switch. Okay, from the information, they will show you which VLAN ID that device connected, and then the MAC address and IP. Right. So how next is how to backup and restore the configuration. Okay, once you navigate to settings tab, at the bottom here you have system action, so you can choose either you want to backup or restore. Okay, if you backup, they will download your backup configuration. Okay. if you choose the restore, after you click the restore, you need to insert the configuration files, and after restore, the switch will reboot one time. Right. Okay, this is how to upgrade. Okay, same part as configuration and restore under the setting. So you just click here, upgrade the firmware. So you download firmware same as EdgeRouter. You go to ubnt.com and then go to download. Okay, under the HMAC you find your switch model and then download the firmware. Okay. Yeah, a few LED status for the switch. Initially power on, they will standby blue. So this one is not no any configuration yet. Right. And then standby white when ready to use. This one is not connected to UNMS, just standalone. Okay. When you connect this switch to UNMS, they will change the LED to blue color. Right. So firmware upgrade in process, alternating blue and white. So be careful during the firmware upgrade. Make sure you not power off the switch. Okay. And then troubleshooting. If they have device hardware failure, they will come quick flashing white. Normally, a RAM issue. Okay, they will come this error. When you log into GUI, this error A12 also will pop up. Okay, this one next, how to change the PoE output. Okay, for example, this UAP Lite using 24 passive, so you need to change the PoE output setting from the dashboard. Right? Okay, from the dashboard, you have you can see the PoE setting here. You just click and then it will pop up like this. So you choose, by default is PoE plus. So if your device is using 24 volt passive, so you choose 24 volt passive. Or if you not required the PoE output, so you just turn off. Okay. And then verify the PoE output status. All right. This one if using 24 passive, and then the status for cable, is it 100 gig, 1 gig or 100 Mbps? So they will show here. With PoE plus, they will let you know how many watt the device consume. Right. And then next is how to adopt your switch or each make categories into your UNMS server. Okay, first thing you need, actually UNMS you can you need to install UNMS server inside one server that accessible from public. So after you complete the configuration, first step is you need to copy the UNMS key under the settings. Okay, under the settings, connection, and then you copy the UNMS key. And then from at the switch, you click at the top right, they have UNMS. Once you click, this pop-up will appear, and then you copy, you paste the UNMS key inside there, and then click save. Okay, once successful, from the UNMS dashboard, you will see your device. Right. This one not only for EBKT devices, but then, for example, you want to monitor your router, MikroTik also can, but the important thing, the device can ping from the UNMS. All right, that's all for today. Any question? Okay, any question for the EdgeSwitch or EdgeRouter? Okay, Siddiqui, if you have any technical question, you can send email to us at help@simpleweb.com. Okay. So if no question, I will end this session now. Right. Thank you for joining us and goodbye and stay safe.